But I think we both know what men are like.
He made 2 pictures after that. He made Full Metal Jacket. If anybody has seen Full Metal Jacket, he railed at the world, God damn you, look what you're doing to humanity. Your goddamn wars. The Vietnam was over only a few years before that. And he was screaming at the world. Take a look at the first 5 minutes of Full Metal Jacket. How a man berates other people and how he diminishes their humanity and their dignity. And there was one line in that opening scene of Full Metal Jacket where the narration says, Paris Island, where the phony tough and the crazy brave go. And that was, I knew he had to have written that. He was so against war and violence. And he screamed at the world through that picture. And he made Eyes Wide Shut. And I saw pictures of him in the paper, and I was stunned. It was amazing. He looked old. His eyes were baggy. Once I told him, I said, Stanley, your eyes are so goddamn baggy, you got to get some exercise. Take a walk 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes back each way. Get some exercise, break a sweat. You're sedentary, you do nothing. He says, well, I'll try it. I said, your bags are so big, when you want to take a trip, you don't pack your bags, you close your eyes. He laughed, he put his head down and laughed. And that picture I saw in the newspaper was a ghost. Looked like some old, oh God, in the Old Testament, some man screaming or crying in the wilderness. His hair was shaggy and white, flecked with black, what it used to be. And it broke my heart. Broke my heart. He was called quirky. Damn it, that's what they wrote. Yes, he had a magnificent sense of humor and made no attempts to show people that side of himself. He also had a peccadillo. He liked to put his name on the credits. Screenplay by Stanley Kubrick. He said, I can't write. I like to put my name up. So what? That's the way he was. Sometimes he put it on the bottom. Sometimes he put it on the top. He couldn't write, really write, with any great consequence. That was a peccadillo. So what? That was the way he was. He was called reclusive. He gave interviews here in America to anybody that would ask him. He gave interviews in England to anybody that would ask him. He says every one of those bastards told a lie. Every time I read the interview, it wasn't what I said, both here and in America. I said, the hell with it, I cut them all off. That's why. Reclusive. Time after time, the press lied. He was called idiosyncratic. No, he wasn't. What he was a perfectionist. He was a perfectionist. Now, what makes a man do that? You'll only know if you know his parents, how he was raised. Did his father abuse him? I don't know that. Did his mother abuse him? Did his father say, you'll never do that? And perhaps he was emotionally disturbed. But it seems to me that there is something that when a person pursues something to with such a degree of energy, something must have happened in his early life. Why did he never laugh, looking down? I don't know. Why did he not like to be hugged? I don't know. But that's the way he was. He was imperious, they said. And I just take you back to the time, please, call me Stanley. Can you imagine Alfred Hitchcock saying, please call me Alfred? Forget it. That attitude is certainly not imperious. His dark personal vision, they said. He saw humanity threatened by nuclear terror and violence, running rampant. It ate him up alive. His films commented on it. I told you about Full Metal Jacket. He roared at the world, please stop the goddamn violence. He was remote and cold, they said. He spoke warmly, candidly to anybody who came over to him. And he says, listen, Joe, I'm remote. I go out to this person's house. He's got 15 people there to meet. I meet them all. Then I'm obligated to go and have him come to my house for a dinner. And then it's magnified 15 times with the people. They invite me there. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I have to go to theirs. Then they come to mine. And you magnify that 10 times, I got 1,000 people. I'll get nothing done. Can't get anything done. I don't want to do that. I come home from work, I have my dinner, I do my work. He watches dailies, he watches rushes, makes notes, makes memos, lays out the next day's work till 11, 12 o'clock, watches telly for 10 minutes, and then he reads for 2 or 3 hours. He loved reading. He read every day of his life. Go to sleep 2, 3, 4 o'clock, get up at 6 and start it all over again. Oh my goodness. Those people would keep me from reading. And I don't want to have anything, I just stopped. I'm not reclusive. I just want to do my reading and do my work. All these things that they said badly about him were the creation of jealous, inferior minds, for the most part lacking intellect and creativity. What he was a truly, truly cultured gentleman. The word gentleman, as you know, is two words, gentleman. He was that, a cultured, gentle man with a magnificent sense of humor. We befriended each other. He touched me with his insights. He taught me with his creativity, and we entertained each other. I will never forget that man, and I will always love him. On March 7th, 1999, he passed on and moved forward. On the internet was the sentence, "Thank you, Mr. Kubrick, for changing the world." And then I flashed on Julius Caesar, Shakespeare, when Mark Antony was addressing the multitudes and discussing the dead body of Caesar. And a line that Mark Antony said fit. It was, "When comes such another?" What killed Stanley was that he worked himself to death. Plain, pure, and simple. He was exhausted after The Shining, which was a 10-month shoot, and Eyes Wide Shut was 3 years. The Japanese have a word for it. It's called karoshi. The Japanese in the 1980s, when they were going great guns, they used to work, and people would die from overwork, karoshi. And that's what Stanley died from. He threw himself on the anvil of perfection, absolute perfection, and came up short. Why? Because to be human is to be imperfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've gone a bit beyond superficial in explaining this man in this very short pace of time. But life goes on. Here we are. In a few days, there will be a cry across this entire United States, from coast to coast and border to border. Spring is here, and it rejuvenates itself, and that cry is 2 words, play ball. And another baseball season will start. And I would appreciate it very much if you would please permit me to be 10 years old. Permit me to speak with a 10-year-old mind and a 10-year-old heart and say, I'm sure Stanley will be watching with great interest in some beautiful mansion in the sky, in some castle, surrounded by angels, God looking forward, looking over to him, looking over him. And Stanley should rest in peace knowing that he has attained immortality. He has reached Mount Olympus. As long as they show movies, for the rest of time, they will show Stanley Kubrick films. For the rest of time. So I'd like to say in conclusion, Stanley, enjoy the game. You have earned your rest in God's arms. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Don't know where